And what happens if what you truly believe and are willing to die for is false? Is that knowledge? Those are interesting questions. Philosophy talks about ethics. What ought I to do? Why ought I to do it? What gives things values? What is the difference between right and wrong? Those kinds of questions, those are universal disciplines. Atheists deal with them. Theists deal with them. People of very different kinds of religions, Hindus and Christians and Muslims, deal with those questions, and they use the same metaphysical categories. They use the same laws of logic. So on that level, philosophy, like mathematics, like physics, is a kind of a common discipline. There's not a Christian physics and then a Hindu physics. On the level of science, these disciplines are pretty much the same for the different worldviews. It's when you put the physics into the Hindu worldview or into the Christian worldview or into the Marxist worldview, then it gets a philosophical meaning.
今天，人工智能作为工程技术，正在倒逼认知科学、脑科学、心理学，来回答身体和灵魂的划分是否正确。作为熟知心理学的改革宗护教学家，库伯对此有着怎样的观点呢？
Biblical has a holistic view of human nature. We're single beings, and we stand before God. That the body-soul distinction would say, well, part of us is spiritual, but the rest of us is secular, or that it would pull religion apart from the rest of life, or it would divide us in some other kinds of ways. I, of course, agree that we should not think of the soul the way Plato did, as almost divine, eternal, self-existent, purely rational, good in itself. Those are aspects of Plato's anthropology we need to get rid of. I agree that, there are maybe problems with Descartes' way of thinking about the soul. So we need to have an integral view. My view is that God creates us from the beginning as body-soul unities. And the fact that there's a separation of the soul at all is an accident. So metaphysically, we are single beings with two different dimensions or aspects. And it's no more natural, perhaps, for the soul to separate from the body than it is for the head to be separated from the rest of the organism. But God could supernaturally keep our heads in existence even if our bodies died and were buried or cremated. God could do that. So perhaps the separation of the soul is a supernatural miracle and not just some natural process. That should be conceded. But in any case, logically and metaphysically, there has to be a difference between the human person, the ego, the self, the thing that God knows and that responds to God, and the organism. They must be metaphysically distinct, or it's not possible to be absent from the body and present with the Lord. So it's that kind of an anthropology that I have defended, an integral view of the body-soul relation, but the separability at death. And with respect to contemporary science, I think that science actually still supports something like a duality, because psychology is utterly different than brain physiology. Brain physiology, you can look in somebody's brain, you can put the electrodes on, and you can watch the brain activity, and this part goes and this part, and then you can watch brain activity. That's a public thing. It's verifiable. Guess what? Psychology's not. If I say I'm feeling a pain, I'm the only one in the world, except God, who knows whether I'm feeling a pain. The psychologist cannot see my pain. The psychologist cannot see me feeling my pain. So what feelings are totally different than physical things. I know what a brain cell is, but a feeling? The metaphysical characteristics of consciousness and psychological are totally different than physical. They don't operate by the same laws. A brain has a weight. A thought has no weight. Brain tissue has color. A thought, right? An idea has power. The brain has power, but it's physical chemical power. The thought has power, but it's totally different kind of power. So if you look at it, consciousness and the brain, the neurosystem, have totally different characteristics. Now, that doesn't automatically justify the conclusion that there are two different things or substances.